Okay. Let's get started. So your first task, like I mentioned, will be, let's see, your first task will be converting an implementation of the priority queue data structure from Java to Python. And you'll do this first one without the AI support. And your second task is going to be converting an implementation of the try data structure from Java to Python. And you'll do that one with the AI support. And we're going to take a break between those two tasks since this is a long 2-hour session. We'll both need a break. First, let me tell you a bit more about the code translation task. So the task is to produce if possible, a complete and working Python translation within 30 minutes. And like I said before, by complete, I mean that you're trying to do what you can towards this goal in the 30 minutes, where all the functionality and documentation from the original Java code should be translated, and if possible, working. And if possible, the Python code should be tested for correctness. As I mentioned earlier, there's more work to do to accomplish to accomplish a perfect translation than can actually be done probably in 30 minutes. So I'm really just asking you to do as much as you can in the time you have. But of course, there are trade-offs in how you spend your time, such as whether you choose to translate all the functionality first or translate a portion of it while testing it to make sure it works. And how you choose to do that is entirely up to you. You should just do whatever feels natural to you. And there's a few other things I should mention about the task. So you'll be using an online version of the VS Code editor in this study, which is mostly just like the desktop app. It has a few minor differences, but in general, all of the menu commands and keystrokes should be available and should just work. But please let me know if you encounter some difficulties. And let's see, I won't be able to answer any technical questions about the code or what it's supposed to do. But one thing I can assure you is that the original Java implementation that you're translating from, that one is definitely correct.
Okay.
When you make the translation, please try to, if possible, preserve the naming of class and method names. It'll just make it easier for us to understand the translation, but we're less concerned with variable names. So if you want to change those in translation, that's fine. And you can use, again, you asked this question earlier, but just to state it the way we've told everyone, you can use whatever resources you feel would be helpful, like searching the web or Stack Overflow or running some code, or because we've installed both the Java and Python editor. And I'll give you a 5-minute warning when time is almost up, so you'll know to start wrapping up what you're doing. And we ask, if possible, as you work on the task, that you try to think out loud to tell us what you're thinking about and what you're doing. I'll put myself on mute and just take notes and things, but it really helps us to understand, we're literally looking over your shoulder at how a programmer is approaching the task. It helps us to understand your approach to the task, what you're thinking about as you do it. And if you become very quiet, I might just come off mute and say, hey, what are you thinking?
Okay.
In the middle of it. So just to remind you. Let's see, do you have any questions before we begin?
So you mentioned classes, so you definitely want like a class-based implementation in Python.
Yes. Well, I want you to do it when you look at the Java, you should translate it to whatever makes sense to you in Python, whatever that is.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, it's entirely up to you. But if you do use class names, if they could be the same as those used in the original, in the source. Okay, now what I'm going to do is we've prepared an editor. I'm going to paste into the chat a link to a VS Code editor that's already loaded up with the with 2 files that are needed for the task. So if you could click on that link and then share your screen. Okay. Great. So, right. So here's the VS Code editor, and it is very similar to the desktop one. And we should, so the task is to look at the Java in the priority queue.java file you're looking at, and to put your Python translation in the .py file. It is possible to display those side by side or however you want to.
Okay.
So should we begin?
So there's no like terminal option, right? There.
You can run it. Is that what? Let's see. So in the upper right hand corner, let's see. Yeah, over there, there's a little triangle. You can run the code. I think if you click that, it will open up a panel at the bottom. Let's see. It doesn't come with a test, so
Saying no main method found.
let's see. So I guess if you could, approach it, well, trying to do the translation and put the result in Python of your best work that you can do on the translation into the .py file. Is there a problem with the environment? Is there a question?
I'm not sure. I'm used to running Python from the terminal, so trying to figure it out.
Okay. You can use whatever resources you have on your computer as well, in addition to this.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm going to start the clock now.
Sure. Good.
And to the extent that it's possible, try to think out loud so I know what you're thinking about and doing.
Sure. Just gonna try to read through stuff first. So, like a priority class or priority queue, native, array list, insert function. Okay. Move function. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so it's like calling heapify from the remove or in itself. Yeah. Okay. I guess I'll just try to start on the Python. Not horribly familiar with class-based Python, but okay. Just start by trying to copy the basic structure, I guess. Okay. So need some kind of init function. Function to create a heap. Yes. Guess I'll just use a list and then maybe decide to change it later if that's not working. Maybe these do the same thing. Try to get things laid out. Okay. Um, okay. So I think I say self item. So it's the size of the heap, adds the item, index. Okay, so start at higher index. Higher index, index -1. So it looks halfway through heap get parent index. Okay. All right, so do index equals length, I think. Okay, just make sure there's no built-in thing in Python. Um, so we're gonna add function. Settle. Okay. So end. Okay. Okay. So say Java is compared to 0 if equal, less than 0 if it's shorter, greater than 0. Okay. Okay. So I guess Python, I'll check if there's a similar thing. Okay. So they're just implementing it themselves too. So we'll just do it in 2 steps for the Python one. Um, I think it's saying if it's equal lengthwise. Um, okay, so parent is less than 0. Um, okay, less than 0. Okay, I'm gonna reverse this then. Okay, so this should do similar, hopefully, to what this is doing. Keep set. Index. Okay, so just swaps them. Okay. And then sets the index to parent index. Cool. Okay. Otherwise, just break. Okay. Okay. Put the index same way. Okay, get the okay, what's up? Oops. Okay. Keep zero equals. Okay, so I'll bring what's at the back. And then just taking the last thing off. Get just remove. Okay. Okay, it is returning it. So just pop it off. Um, um, I guess we'll do this. Um, okay. I'm not sure the size has to be actually passed. So, okay, so since it's calling Keepify, I guess I'll actually go to that one next. Okay. And just check the actual size of the heap, I think. Okay, so pull the parent in, pass the index of. Okay. So if left index is less than size of the heap, and heap left index is, I guess, longer than the parent. Thank you, I guess. Great. Okay, so it moves the max index to the left index. Okay, so that one is the one to the left here. Okay.
This is awesome and really great thinking out loud. Thank you. I'm just giving you the warning that there are 5 more minutes. So just keep going as you are. I just wanted to let you know in case that matters.
Okay, thanks. Okay, and then just if they're equal. Is it? Oops. Okay, so taking the original index and put in the item now that's at the max index, the original parent, and then heapify again. And then this version, just press again, hit this. Okay. Okay, at all seems, I guess I'll comment those first. Just copy this. Okay. Just do the at all because it's easy. Uh, okay. Assuming this is like a list or something. Uh, I guess, for their consistency. Okay. These empty should be the oops. Let's see my returns a Boolean. Check. True return of string is empty. Oh, it is empty, I think. I got that the wrong way. Or no, that's right. Okay. Oops.
Okay. That's perfect. I guess we have to stop now because it's the end of
Okay.
the 30 minutes. That was awesome. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is to fill out a post-task questionnaire. And I'm gonna just copy a link to share with you. So I'm going to paste this into the chat. And if you click on that, it should open. There we go. And so, oh, so your participant ID is P12. In the task condition, you had no AI help. So that's the first one. And you did the priority queue data structure. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so these are, you can read and fill out what you think, and if you want, you can also talk about what you're doing or say if you have any questions.
Okay. I feel like this one was pretty straightforward in terms of like easy to translate over. Rush, I mean, obviously tied to 30 minutes, but it wasn't that bad. Can't know for sure, but felt pretty decent. Oh wait, I'm going the wrong way. Wait, hi. Okay,
Oh,
all right.
yeah.
Medium, I guess. Didn't feel too bad.
So yes, so here, if you could just briefly describe, and it does help if you can type it, what you basically your basic approach, how you did the task, and be just a short summary.
Yeah. Um, fix. Um, with uh, say somewhat because I didn't like spend time thinking about exactly how it worked because I was focused on translating.
Mhm.
I don't think so.
Okay. Awesome. Great. So that was a great session. And now we've earned a 5-minute break between
Cool.
tasks. So so I'll be back in five. Let's see, it's 2:46 now. Let's say that would be sort of 2:51-ish if we're gonna be. So see you in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. I am back. We can start again whenever you're ready. You can have a couple more minutes if you want, or we can start now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good.
Fantastic. Okay, so now it's time for task 2. And actually, before we start task 2, if you have the code editor open still, you should close that. So I'm going to give you a new link that has other files. Okay. So in this task, you'll translate the try data structure from Java to Python with the help of an AI code translation system. So this system is able to automatically translate code from Java to Python, but it's not a perfect system. So the translated code might contain errors. And we use this system ahead of time to create a Python translation for you, which you'll see when you open the editor. And how you use the translation is to help you is completely up to you. So I'm going to, I'll give you another link to a new editor that has everything in it. I'm going to paste that in the chat. So, and I'll, right. So, so the, so you see on the left there, there's try.java. That's the original code in Java.
Mm-hmm.
And then try.py is where you should do your work, where you should, and try AI.py should be the AI produced translation. And what we ask is that if you're going to use parts of it or all of it, you're welcome to do whatever makes sense, that you copy and paste it into the other file. It's just so that we know that try.py is the file that was your choice as the translation with the help.
Okay.
Okay. So let's begin. We'll start now.
Touchpad is dead. 1 second.
Sure.
Okay. I'm probably just gonna copy all this. So that seems easiest. Okay. Oops. Okay. So flipped the order on it, or it's just defining them differently. Okay. Tree, just creating a three node root. Should define here. Okay. Yep. So that's like that, I guess. Okay. So this one actually defines the node inside the tree class. Okay, so it just has like a dictionary of them. His word. This, okay, yeah, that's the same thing as this. Okay. Get children. Okay, just returns the dictionary or whatever. This end of word, turn is word. Set end of word, so is word is. Okay, that seems fine besides the mismatched case, I think. Okay, so then so then it's defining these other functions. Insert, just inserting word. Current node is the root. Okay, so just iterating through the characters in the word. Current equals, so that's the root, get children, compute if absent. So this is using some set default thing instead. Which I don't know if that's a Python thing or just not supposed to be there. Okay, I see. Okay, I think this one is actually creating a new node if the character isn't there. Okay, so I think something, this might actually have to, oops. Okay, so it's returning the value if it exists or null if it doesn't. But I think maybe instead of returning null, it's just actually returning a new node. Equals. Okay. Okay, it's literally just returning a list or the dictionary. Yes, hash map maybe. Okay, so it creates a new node and sets it to current. Okay, find this. Guess I'll just do this. Okay, yeah, I think it should. Okay, then find current is root, going through characters in the word, node equals get that character. Okay, so there's no node, return false. Otherwise, mm, her. Their children. Okay. Talk. Just check that that's the right. Okay. Minus 9, return false. For equals node. Okay, that seems fine. Delete hard. Weird. I think this just combines that. Okay, I don't think that makes sense. Okay, so okay, so I think this should just kind of match. Yeah, okay. Is it? So if that really, so, oh, okay. Um, okay. Don't think that's the right way to do it. I think okay. Just checking if it's empty. Empty dictionaries are false. Okay. Um, so maybe we could just do like that. I want to compare it. Don't want to compare it to an empty list. So I'm not sure that makes sense. It is index. Character. That node doesn't exist. Return false. Should delete current node. Delete that one. I'm not sure whether it has to specifically say self there, but I'll leave it. Delete current node. Current kitchen. Okay. Okay, I think that's fine. Okay, enumerate. It's an enumerate list. And what's this? Entry node. Okay, current node. And string. Um, where was it? Okay. And where's the key to character? Okay, yeah, delete at the end. Pop works fine. Merge. Okay. So, okay, so this, that's fine. String building. Okay, so this part is really weird. Um, entry is just like a, basically a string, I think. Oh, how do they use it here? I think that's a little messed up. Well, let me see. Okay, wait. Entries is a list. Okay, that's fine. Entry dot append should be, I think, the Python equivalent of string. Oops. I'm not sure it needs to be converted, but I guess I'll keep it. Um, and that'll give it without the last letter. Okay. Okay. Root. think, right, I think it has actually like, I think Java is better at keeping track of the whatever actual object. So then here I want to actually return the entries. Okay. Okay. I remember if I skipped some stuff when I was first looking through. I remember if that works in Python. Okay.
What are you thinking?
Just like, I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff I missed because I like don't code in Python that often, but I'm just like trying to think if there's like something I didn't, like a a function or something I didn't look over. Because otherwise, to the best of my knowledge, I think I found the obvious issues at least. But
and also, so there's almost exactly 5 minutes left.
okay. I guess for completeness, we could do comments too, right? Um, which so I'm gonna put two spaces between everything. Where should I put it? Yep. Okay. So
Okay, you've done it. You've completed the second task. It was awesome.
Okay.
Okay. Um, you can actually, we're going to do another one of these post-study questionnaires, and you can actually go ahead and just close the editor and all the files are saved. Okay, so I'm going to give you another link to the next questionnaire. I just pasted it in the chat. There we go. Okay, so yes, you're P12. And this time you had AI and you were doing the try. Excellent. So similar to before.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like for me personally, like looking through something that's already written is harder.
Okay. Yeah, that's the sort of thing we want to hear. So that's great feedback.
Not too bad. Don't really know, but seems. Oops, I always get that the
Oh,
opposite way.
right. Mhm.
Um, yeah. Um, guess mostly just like trying to find obvious mistakes.
Okay.
Uh, or like making sure the Python functions that got used exist.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
I'm gonna say that because I do not really understand tries, did not.
Okay.
I think if I learned about them, it was like a long time ago.
So that could
And
be, yeah.
yeah. So good just because there's like a couple like obvious things that got messed up in translation, I think.
Mm.
Um, I think it was better than I expected. I didn't really know what to expect, but it was
Mhm.
like pretty complete.
Okay.
Um, definitely useful. Couple errors. Um, yeah, I mean, I feel like it's mostly proofreading, so
Mhm.
um, I don't know if I was trying to understand the code,
Mhm.
but um, yeah, I'm not super familiar with class-based Python, so definitely looking over it after having done the last task was like informative.
Okay.
Um, I don't know. I feel like I kind of rate it in the middle. Like, obviously, it was easier because I didn't have to actually write anything or like come up with how to translate it for the
Mhm.
most part.
Mhm.
Um, but reading through it is like difficult in its own way.
Mhm.
But if I was like actually trying to run it and stuff, it'd probably be like way more obvious that like where there were mistakes. So
Okay.
um so I guess it made it easier.
Mhm.
Kind of made it a little more difficult myself by not trying to run it, but
Okay.
I think it made it faster. I was like, obviously, there's a more complete solution from the get-go.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I feel like it already being generated and then proofreading probably gets a decent result. Um, Structure's already all there.
Mm.
Don't have to think about like how to lay stuff out and reference like stuff internally. Um, um, I don't know if I found anything not useful about it.
Okay.
This is like the actual quantity of the translations, like one.
Um, let's see. Uh, would you have liked to, I guess, would you have liked to have seen more than the one? Like if there
Um,
were other attempts by the AI, were you happy with just one, or would you have liked to have been able to choose between several? Or
uh, I don't know. I was pretty happy with the one provided. It'd be interesting to see if there was like different translations created, what the difference was between them. But
okay.
um, I don't know. In terms of like needing more than one, I don't think so.
Okay.
Um, I guess. I mean, I don't know if I like really needed outside information or like would have liked outside information besides like stuff that I look
Hmm.
up just to like remind myself how Python works.
Okay.
Um, but I mean, like maybe it'd be interesting to know like how often like this AI produces stuff that's like pretty close to runnable or like how
Ah,
people have judged it in the past
okay.
to like how like much work they had to do after the fact, I guess.
That makes sense. Actually, if you could write that, that's really good,
Yeah.
good, clear statement on that.
Uh, Not a word, but I'll put it in.
Hmm.
Um, um, Definitely under time pressure. I guess like not really helpful normally.
Mhm.
Working alone. Uh, yeah, I guess I'd be helpful if you like don't have someone who can like look over stuff or help you.
Mhm.
Um, run code only I would use. Yeah, that'd be helpful. Um, you could just like pull something off the internet in a different language and translate it to something that you wanted to use.
Okay.
Sure. I feel like starting to work in a large team where you like maybe already don't understand a bunch of the code base, it
Mhm.
might get a little dicier
Mm.
if like you're start to like rely on this code to be generated for you and you have to like check it for mistakes and you like don't fully understand other parts of the code, that might get
Mm. Mhm.
dicey.
Mhm.
um
Mhm.
Experimental for production code I would maybe be a little more hesitant about it.
Mhm.
uh I'm not without someone looking over it.
Mhm.
um Runtime, I mean I assume the runtime will most of the time just match the other code, but if it's like really a problem, I guess you should probably be writing it yourself.
Mhm.
Obviously, large code base would be helpful, although then, I mean, you that issue before where like you have to check it, and
Mhm.
it's a lot harder with a giant code base.
Mhm.
Um, Definitely this one. Yeah, although I guess you still need someone looking it over for you.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I guess if you can actually like run the code to test it, stuff like this, where it's only one problem is nice. Not very. Um, yeah, I'd say for the most part, useful.
Okay. Mhm.
Um, I don't know. I was pretty impressed with the AI output. Um,
Okay.
um, yeah, I don't know if like having like a test set available or something would be helpful.
Okay. Yeah, that would be good to know.
Um, yeah, that's it.
Fantastic. Okay, awesome. Now you're not going to believe this, or probably you will, but I have a final survey. um, this is kind of more overall about both experiences. So I just
Sure.
pasted the link there. Right, again, your P12. Yeah.
I guess we'd say it's like a very different experience.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Trying to like create a translation versus more of like proofreading the AI code.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I know like some code editors do this already, but just like an AI type stuff that like can give you better feedback without you running the code if something is not gonna work.
Okay.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Um, I don't think so. Um, um,
Mm. Was that a code modernization project, sort of
yep,
the version? Yeah. Okay.
yep, giant legacy application we wrote a new
Yeah.
version of.
Okay, fantastic. Then that's the last link I have for you. I just wanted to tell you, you might be curious about a few things that sort of came up in the study. I just wanted to tell you a few details about sort of what's behind all this. So basically, I'm in a group in IBM Research that's looking into a pretty big variety of AI models that are being developed for code right now.
Hmm.
Um, and things like translating code from one language to another, generating documentation for code is another
Hmm.
area, and also converting natural language to code seems to be another area of interest. So they're not that far along, but as you can see, like, you commented that it was better than you expected,
Yeah.
what it had done. So they're coming along. And there hasn't been much work done to evaluate whether they're actually useful for software engineers to use. So that's kind of what we're trying to do is, interview a large number of engineers and with this compare and contrast experience and see what we can learn about how useful it really is in a kind of measurable way.
Hmm.
Um, and we're generally interested in understanding whether AI produced code translations are actually helpful, like whether they make work easier or faster, and and also kind of how good does the translation need to be for it to be useful. And we are also building as we go along, we're building some tools for VS Code that we might eventually be able to release that could let you try various kinds of AI models out on your own code, which I realize would be a much more natural circumstance than what we what we put you in today, where you would have all your normal tools.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions about any of that, or?
I don't think so. It was pretty cool to see. Yeah. Uh, I mean, like, obviously, if I like read the code instead of trying to
Yeah.
read through it, it would be like a super fast way to get a translated version.
Okay, that's good to know. I really appreciated your thinking out loud and your very clear comments on the surveys are really helpful to us. So I really want to thank you for this is a long study. This is 2 hours of your time booked, and we're going to send you 250 blue points as a token of our appreciation. And I just have to tell the principal investigator we're done, which we've completed it, and he should send those straight away. So, and I just want to thank you several times for giving us your time, because if we can't observe people really using these things, we won't know how to make progress. So,
Right. Yeah.
all right. Well, if you have no other questions, then I guess we could wrap up and I'll just say thank you again. Um, and yeah, thanks very much. And I saw you added your email address, so now you're on a list of people who might be contacted for future studies. So, um,
Ooh,
okay, have a good day, Alana. Thank
you
you.
too.
Okay,
Thanks.
bye-bye.